In every age, one truth has never changed: a person's true greatness begins in the mind. Our thoughts shape who we become, and what we focus on grows stronger in our lives. This idea has guided many remarkable individuals, inventors, dreamers, and leaders who changed the world. They all started with a thought, a belief that they could do something extraordinary. But if that's true, why do so many people still struggle to succeed? Why do some dream big but stay stuck where they are? Today's story will answer these questions, and show you how one man transformed his entire life by changing the way he thought. Once, in a noisy train station filled with rushing travelers, there lived a beggar. Every day, he sat by the platform, asking for spare coins from strangers who hurried past. It was how he survived. Most ignored him, a few dropped some change without a word. One morning, as the beggar waited for the next train to arrive, he saw a man in a fine suit step onto the platform. The man's confident walk and polished shoes showed success. The beggar thought, "This man must be rich. Maybe he'll give me a good amount." So he stretched out his hand and said, "Please, sir, spare some change." But instead of reaching for his wallet, the businessman looked at him and asked, "Tell me, do you always just ask others for help? Have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar blinked, confused. "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I don't own anything to give. I live by asking." The businessman smiled faintly. "Then you are mistaken. If you believe you have nothing to give, you'll never have the right to ask. Everything in life is an exchange. I give because I also receive. If you want something from the world, you must first offer something to it." And with that, the man stepped onto the train and disappeared down the tracks. The beggar sat silently, stunned. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. All his life, people either ignored him or pitied him, but this man had challenged him to think differently. That night, as the station grew quiet, his mind kept repeating those words: "If you want to receive, you must first give." He couldn't sleep. What could a beggar possibly give? He had no money, no belongings, no power. And yet, something inside him whispered, there must be something. For 2 days, he didn't beg. He just sat, thinking deeply. On the third day, as he watched the trains pass, he noticed something beautiful, a cluster of wildflowers growing near the tracks. Bright yellow and white blossoms swayed gently in the wind. And then it hit him. Maybe I can offer these flowers. He carefully picked a few, cleaned them, and placed them beside him. When someone dropped a coin into his tin cup, he smiled and handed them a flower. To his surprise, people smiled back. Some laughed softly and said, "Thank you." Others took pictures or gave him a little more than usual. He felt something he hadn't felt in years: dignity. Days turned into weeks. More and more people came to him. They didn't just see a beggar anymore, they saw a man offering a simple gesture of beauty. When he had flowers, people gave generously. When the flowers ran out, the money slowed. He realized the businessman was right: people respond to what you give. One afternoon, as he handed out flowers, he spotted a familiar face, the same businessman stepping off a train. Excited, he hurried over. "Sir," he called. "Today I have something to give you. If you'll offer me money, I'll give you flowers in return." The businessman smiled, took a few flowers, and handed him a generous note. "Now you understand," he said. "You're no longer a beggar, you're a man of business. You give value, and in return, you receive." The beggar stood speechless. For the first time, he didn't feel small. He felt capable. That night, he made a decision. He would no longer sit at the station and beg. Instead, he would start something new. He began collecting flowers from nearby fields and selling small bouquets to passengers. Day by day, he earned more. He saved enough to buy baskets, ribbons, and even hire a helper. 6 months later, a train arrived at the same station, and 2 well-dressed men shook hands on the platform. The businessman looked closely at the other man and said, you look familiar. Have we met? The other man grinned. Yes. Twice. Once, you refused to give me money. The next time, you bought flowers from me. Recognition flashed in the businessman's eyes. Wait, you were the beggar? The man laughed warmly. Yes. But I'm not a beggar anymore. I now run a small flower business, and I'm traveling to open a new stall. The businessman smiled in admiration. That's incredible. What changed? The flower seller replied, you taught me something priceless. I realized I was never poor, only in my thinking. When I started to give, I began to receive. I just needed to believe I had something to offer. The two men shook hands again, this time as equals. Then they boarded their trains, each heading toward new destinations and new dreams. The lesson? Your life becomes what your thoughts allow. If you see yourself as helpless, the world will treat you that way. But if you believe you have value, even when you start with nothing, opportunities will find you. The secret to success is not waiting for luck, but realizing that what you give, your effort, your kindness, your creativity, will always come back to you. So ask yourself, what am I giving to the world today? Because the moment you start giving, your journey toward greatness truly begins. If this story inspired you, share it with others. Someone out there might need to hear this message too.